everybody, this is Julia from Jujubee Farms, and today I want to talk to you about sourdough and sourdough starter. Sourdough starter is actually very easy. There's a lot of different information about it on the internet, and I choose to do it the most easiest way possible, or I won't do it. If it's hard to do, I generally would not do it. So what I use is these weck jars. I don't know the size of them, but I get them from Amazon. I have different sizes. I also have a cat. Thank you, kitty cat. I have these smaller ones with lids, and then I have this really big one that I keep my discard in, and I keep that in the refrigerator. And I have a size in between that I use when I am making bread. So basically what you want to do if you want to start a starter, it's very easy. You would have a jar, and I typically use a new jar every time I feed my starter, but all you need is 1/4 of a cup of flour. I use kamut flour. Some people measure their ingredients out on a scale. I do not do that. I go by the consistency of my starter to keep it simple, but if you want to go online and find out how to measure it, there are lots of videos that teach you how to do that. And then 1/4 a cup of water. And you mix these two things together. It doesn't matter if you use a metal spoon. It doesn't matter if you use a wooden spoon, a spatula. Some people say not to use metal, that it could kill your sourdough starter. I've not found that to be true. My starter is here, and it's alive, and it's doing fine, and I use metal every single day. So you just mix these two things together until it's the consistency of kind of like a thick pancake batter, and you let this sit on your counter. Mine is this consistency. You let it sit on your counter with the lid on. You don't want anything that you're screwing on or that's tight, because you want the air to be able to get in there. We're trapping the natural yeast in the air, and that's what creates the starter. And you will just feed this every day, once a day, and you want to feed it around the same time every single day. I try to feed mine every evening, because if I'm making bread, I feed it in the evening and make my leaven for my bread in the evening, so it's ready for me to use the next day. So this is the fed starter if you're going to start this, and you just keep feeding it every day, same time of day, every 24 hours. And eventually, probably in about a week's time, this will be a great sourdough starter. Sometimes it takes a week, and sometimes it could take up to a month. Mine usually goes pretty quickly, but a lot of it will depend on your environment, the temperature of your house. If you have a cold house, it could take longer. If you have a warmer house, it'll go a lot quicker. Now mine has already risen and fallen a little bit, but this is what mine looks like. And I'm going to feed it here for you. You can see all the bubbles and the activity in there. It's pretty cool. So I already did the flour and the water in here, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon to this that I just mixed up. I don't measure anything. Like I said, I like to make it simple. And this is my fed starter for the day. For my, I'll do this again tomorrow. Exactly the same in a new container. So this will bubble up and get active all over again. Don't be afraid of it. You can't mess it up. You can mess it up if you just totally neglect it. But this is ready to go, and I just put the lid on, and I set it in my counter. When I talk about sourdough starter, another question that I get is, what if I'm not going to be home? What if I'm going to go on vacation and I'm not home to feed it? Well, obviously you don't want somebody to have the responsibility of feeding your sourdough starter. Although it is easy, it's kind of is, it seems like it's not in a way for some reason, and to explain somebody to take flour and water and take some of this out and put it in another jar. That could be a lot for somebody who doesn't know anything about sourdough starter and who would think you were crazy asking them to feed something that, it's not alive, but it is. So I just stick mine in the refrigerator, and I've put mine in the refrigerator for months before, gotten it out, fed it, and the next day it's like it never was in the refrigerator. It's all back bubbly, happy again. Now this could take a couple of days, but in my experience, usually the next day it's already back to its happy bubbly self. Now say you did take it out of the refrigerator and you fed it, and then the next day you fed it and you just weren't getting it to look happy and bubbly, or you feel like it's just not doing as well as it should and you want to maybe make the process go faster. One of the times of your feeding, you can just add like a teaspoon of rye flour. And that's one trick that I have learned. I have this big, huge thing of rye flour. I need to make some rye bread. I've never done that before and use some of this up before it goes bad. But I just use a teaspoon of rye flour if I ever feel like my sourdough starter isn't bubbling up well, or if it seems like it's, not as active as I would like for it to be. And another thing I love about this is it's no waste. So I'm going to take this that I just took the tablespoon out of my starter, which is now becoming my discard. And I'm going to put it in my very full discard jar. It is actually too full, and I need to make something out of it. The really cool thing about discard is that you can make a lot of recipes. If you go on Pinterest, you can look and you can find a lot of recipes on things that you can do with a sourdough discard, and it's really good for your gut health. Especially even if you have bread sensitivities and things, people can eat sourdough, things with sourdough in it a whole lot easier than eating just things with just regular flour. So we're going to put this in here, and I just keep this in the refrigerator, and this discard can stay in the refrigerator for a long time and be okay. I just keep adding to it, and as you can see, this is way too much. I need to start making some things. Some of my favorite discard recipes are pancakes and waffles, and I've even taken this and seasoned it up. You can season it up sweet, like with some sugar, the sugar of your choice. You could make it savory. I've put some everything but bagel seasoning in it and put it in a pan with a little bit of coconut oil and just fried it up into like this sourdough bread. It's like a flat bread. It's very good that way to eat with different types of meals. And then you could probably take that fried up sourdough flatbread and maybe even make it into a pizza or something. So there's a lot of things that you could do with this. And like I said, if you look up on the internet, things you can do with sourdough discard, you can find a whole lot of recipes. I think I am planning on making a sourdough, maybe going into making different videos about sourdough. I do want to make sourdough bread with you all and show you the way that I do that. And I'm also planning on maybe starting, it's getting harder for me to find the kamut flour. You could look that up if you don't know what it is. I buy mine from the Food Nanny, but the price of it has gotten so high that I don't feel like it's really affordable anymore. So I'm thinking about just going back to regular plain bread flour and making a sourdough starter with that. So I may take you on the journey of me starting my regular bread flour sourdough starter and turning, making it into an actual starter. Now I could take from this starter and use this and turn this into a regular flour starter, but I'm thinking about doing that, from scratch and showing you the progression of me turning just the regular flour, regular water into a sourdough starter. Because this is really cool to do. This would be something neat to do if you have kids and let them watch the process, or homeschool or anything like that. So I think I covered everything. How you feed it, like I said, every day. And then I am going to make another video on what I do if I'm going to make bread. I'm not going to make bread tomorrow, so I'm just going to feed this and put it on my counter and leave it alone. and it'll get all bubbly and rise up. And if I want to make bread, I will do not completely different. I will still take and feed and make this again, but instead of putting all the discard in here, I will use some of the discard to make a separate leaven that will be used for bread. So I hope that you find this helpful. I hope that I went over everything and I didn't forget something. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments about sourdough starter, any recipes you would like to see me make. I am planning on using this, and I have seen a recipe for sourdough crackers and it looks super easy, so it's something that I'm hoping that I can film for you soon. I'm waiting for tripods and things so that I have better ways and places to put my phones when I'm doing things, because I'm just filming all these things on my phone for now. So I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.